In the ancient times when the world was still young, the heavens arched above like a boundless dome, and the earth stretched endlessly below. The land was wild and untamed, covered with forests, rivers, and mountains that no one had yet mastered. People wandered aimlessly across this vast land, without shelter, without rules, and without wisdom to guide their lives. They lived like beasts, eating raw flesh from the hunt and drinking the blood of animals. They had no homes to protect them from storms and no fire to warm them in the night. They fought over scraps of food and quarreled like wild creatures. In this world of chaos and suffering, there arose a figure destined to change the fate of humankind. His name was Fuxi, remembered as both divine and human, a being whose compassion shaped the foundation of civilization. Legends say he was born near the Yellow River, where mist rose from the waters and mountains stood like guardians of the earth. Some myths describe him with the body of a man but the tail of a dragon, a symbol of his link to the divine. From his earliest days, Fuxi observed the hardships of humanity. He saw people wandering without order, struggling against hunger and fear. His heart was filled with compassion, and he resolved to guide them step by step into a better life. He understood that survival required knowledge, discipline, and order. Without wisdom, mankind would remain trapped in darkness forever. Fuxi began his teachings with the most essential need, food. He noticed how people failed to catch fish with their bare hands and often went hungry. He studied the patterns of nature, watching the spider weave its web with patience and skill. From this observation he gained inspiration. He taught people to twist vines into ropes and weave them into nets. With these nets, they could cast into rivers and lakes to catch fish with ease. Hunger, once constant and cruel, began to fade from their lives. The people rejoiced, for they no longer needed to wander in despair, in search of food. But Fuxi did not stop there. He saw that people still hunted animals recklessly, risking their lives and wasting their strength. He introduced the taming of animals, bringing dogs to guard their homes, cattle to plow the earth, and sheep to provide wool and meat. Through his guidance, humans learned to work with animals instead of battling them. Villages began to grow, for people no longer needed to roam endlessly. They settled in places where food and water were plentiful. They built shelters from wood, clay, and stone, protecting themselves from storms, rain, and wild beasts. For the first time, humans found safety in the walls of their homes. Fuxi then turned his eyes to the heavens and the earth. He studied the stars that shone above, the rivers that carved their paths, the mountains that stood immovable, and the seasons that brought change. He saw patterns hidden within the movements of the cosmos. From his wisdom, he created the 8 trigrams, known as the Bagua. Each trigram was a symbol, simple in form yet profound in meaning. They represented fundamental forces: heaven, earth, thunder, wind, water, fire, mountain, and lake. By combining them, people could understand the balance of the world. They saw how opposites complemented one another, how change followed patterns, and how nature's laws guided life. These symbols became the root of philosophy, science, and divination for ages to come. Yet Fuxi knew that wisdom of nature alone was not enough. He looked upon human society and saw disorder in their unions. Men and women came together without rules, often leading to quarrels and broken families. Children were left without guidance, and chaos spread among the tribes. Fuxi established the sacred ritual of marriage. He declared that unions between men and women must be solemn, respected, and recognized by the community. Through marriage, families would form, children would be nurtured, and society would find stability. Love and duty became bound together, giving structure to human life. Fuxi also introduced music. He created instruments from wood, stone, and string, shaping them to echo the rhythms of heaven and earth. Through sound, people learned joy, harmony, and celebration. Voices rose together in song, uniting communities in festivals and rituals. Music became the bridge between the human heart and the order of the cosmos. With every teaching, Fuxi lifted humanity higher. He gave them food, shelter, families, and harmony. He gave them symbols to understand the universe. Generations honored him as the first teacher, the one who gave laws, crafts, and traditions to the world. He was remembered not as a conqueror but as a sage. Not as a warrior but as a father of humanity. His consort was Nuwa, the goddess who shaped mankind from clay. Together, they were honored as the primal parents of humankind. Some stories tell of a great flood that destroyed the earth, leaving only Nuwa and Fuxi as survivors. From their union, the human race was born anew. In temples and myths of later ages, Fuxi was often shown holding a compass, while Nuwa held a ruler. The compass and ruler symbolized the balance of heaven and earth, the harmony between man and nature. In Fuxi's hands, the trigrams shone like stars, carrying the hidden wisdom of the universe. His teachings guided farming, warfare, divination, and governance. Rulers and scholars studied his symbols to understand fate and the order of the cosmos. Confucians, Taoists, and the masters of the I Ching honored his name as the origin of wisdom. The legacy of Fuxi lived on in the roots of Chinese culture, philosophy, and belief. Without Fuxi, people would have remained in darkness. They would have had no tools, no fire, no families, and no laws. With Fuxi, humanity entered a new dawn, a life guided by knowledge, ritual, and respect for nature. His story reminds mankind that wisdom is the light that lifts them from chaos to order. He remains forever the father of civilization, the bringer of harmony to the world. Even as centuries passed, his legend endured. Bards recited his deeds, temples bore his name, and scholars invoked his wisdom. Farmers looked to the heavens with the trigrams in mind, guiding their planting and harvests. Warriors consulted his symbols before battles, seeking to know the patterns of victory and defeat. Kings and rulers used his teachings to bring justice, ensuring order in their realms. Fuxi's name became eternal, carried through the voices of countless generations. In every flame that warms a home, in every family that gathers under one roof, in every ritual of marriage, in every song that rises with joy, the spirit of Fuxi lingers. The rivers still remember the nets that brought food. The mountains still echo with the wisdom of his trigrams. The people still honor the father who taught them how to live as humans, not as beasts. Thus, the legend of Fuxi continues to shine through the ages. It tells us that humanity is never without hope, that wisdom can rise even in chaos, and that compassion can guide a world from darkness into light. Fuxi remains, forever, the first teacher, the cultural hero, and the father of civilization.